Hey everyone, we are back with another product review. This from a company called Granatan. Obviously you'll see that name in the description and in the title. And again, full disclosure, this sample was sent over to me for free. And this is kind of addressing an issue that was more of a problem during what I refer to as the COVID years. Basically, 2020 all the way until about 2022, when things were shut down and couldn't really get out, everybody was wearing the masks and everything. And of course, one major problem that I ran into at the time was that certain products or certain things just went insane as far as price, and you couldn't really get them. During the COVID years, obviously trading cards boomed in popularity because everybody was staying home. They were looking for things to do. They're like, hey, let me get into Pokemon, let me get into Magic. And so trading cards went crazy. And of course, when you're selling lots of trading cards, that's good. But to get your trading cards to somebody in the mail without them getting damaged, you generally use things like this, our top loaders. These are the two common top loaders that I use. I got a regular 20 or /35 point top loader here from Cardboard Gold. And then I also have this one, which I think you can probably tell on camera, is actually slightly thicker than this other one. This one, I believe, is 100 point, again from Cardboard Gold. So whenever I ship cards, I would generally put up to 3 cards in this one, because you can generally put about 3 cards in there. Any more after that starts to feel a bit thick and uncomfortable, and you could potentially damage your cards after that. So my rule is no more than 3 cards in this thing. And this one, depending on the card game, I could actually squeeze up to 10 in this one. When it's Yu-Gi-Oh cards, I can usually put about 10 in here. If it's Magic or Pokemon cards, I usually stop about 8. And again, over that, usually it starts to get a little cramped in there, so I don't want to do that. So during the COVID years, these things got very scarce. Not even kidding, very, very scarce, and the handful that were out there got extraordinarily expensive. You used to be able to get these, a pack of 25, for about $2.50 to $3. Now, even after the COVID years, you'll be lucky to find these in packs of 25 for about $5 to $6. So obviously, pricing has gotten much more expensive. Thankfully, they're not scarce anymore, as we've managed to catch up, because nothing's really shut down anymore. But this product was brought out during that time, and I just now got my hands on it, to kind of deal with that problem of not being able to get top loaders. These are basically called little shipping shields. Let me break these out for you. And they're actually a very simple concept. This is something that's been around for a long time, and you may just look at these and be like, hey, I've seen these before. And I absolutely guarantee that you have. I've seen sort of sturdy boxes made out of these. And it's kind of like a very kind of hard plastic. And it's very durable, and it's got these little sections here that provide rigidity to it. So the idea was, well, if we can't get our top loaders, can we ship cards in other ways that can, be just as effective? My camera's freaking out again there, I'm sorry. I'll keep my hands right here, so come on, focus, camera. What are you doing? Come on. There you go. Focus, there we go. Anyways, so they needed to answer the question, can we ship this stuff without having to deal with top loaders? In fact, I'll take these out and I'll move this box because I think that's what's freaking my camera out. So, the whole idea is that these were, in a sense, supposed to replace top loaders. And you're like, well, wait a minute, how are you supposed to use these? These don't have any way to insert a card. True. But the way you're supposed to do it is you take 2 of them and you slap them together like that. And again, just for a sample, let's grab a card here. You would grab a card. Now, of course, in most cases, you generally want to put a penny sleeve in there if you can. And you put the card in there, you slap it together, and then you basically just get some tape. Yeah, even regular old tape. In fact, I've got my tape here. Now, many people are looking at this Scotch tape and they're like, oh my god, is he really going to do that? How dare he put that? Yeah, because I can tell you, if you put Scotch tape on a regular top loader like this, or like this, you really shouldn't. Because you're essentially destroying the top loader. If you put Scotch tape on these, it's virtually impossible to get them off cleanly. It always leaves a nasty residue. And the thing about top loaders is you want to be able to continue to reuse them as much as you can, because obviously not only are these things good for shipping because they're fairly rigid, but they also have a little flex to them, but you can also use them to store your cards there at home. So generally whenever I ship with these, I don't use Scotch tape, as I've already mentioned, you should never do that. But God, my camera just cannot focus today. But what I will use on my top loaders is generally something like painter's tape or a masking tape. Those two types of tapes do not leave residue. If they do, it's very, very little, and they generally come off cleanly, whereas Scotch tape, good luck getting that off. It's not going to happen. So yeah, just a little advice. If you do ship using top loaders, absolutely use painter's tape or a masking tape. Never use Scotch tape, and absolutely never, never use packing tape. Scotch tape and packing tape will not come off of these. Don't ever do that to somebody when you send them cards. Anyway, so the idea though with this is that you should be able to use just regular Scotch tape to send these in the mail. And again, just from looking at them, they are quite rigid, okay? You put two of them together, they're absolutely going to protect your card. And they're very, very rigid. And then what you're supposed to do is take your tape. This is going to take a little bit of an operation here, so I apologize if it takes a little bit. You take your tape, and again, if you decide to, you can actually just use masking tape on this too, or your painter's tape. You don't have to use the Scotch tape. It's just that I want to kind of make a point here, and that's why I'm using Scotch tape, because these particular things are really not going to be made, or they're simply not made to display your cards. Whereas the top loader, obviously it's nice and crystal clear. You take your card, you stick it in there, just like that, and you can see your cards super easy and it's nice and clear. Obviously this is not going to do that. This is only for shipping, okay? Only for shipping. This can serve two purposes. You can ship, and then if you want to, you can just leave your card in there and put it in your collection just like that, because you can just always go and look at the card whenever you want. So yeah, since this thing is only going to be used for shipping, I think it's actually okay to use Scotch tape on these. And the good thing is that I should be able to, once I get the card, because the ideal thing to do is make sure you press it in real nice and tight. Not too tight, you don't want to bend the card, obviously. And then just put your Scotch tape over that like that. Now, of course, in the mail, the card's going to move around a little bit. That's normal. That happens even with top loaders. So I think when you send these in the mail, you'll probably want to do more than just put, on the basic four sides here. You may want to put the tape here, 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 here. Now suddenly we're using a lot of tape, aren't we? But anyways, yeah. These are only going to be used for shipping. Negative thing about these is some, not all, some modern top loaders, like I said, they do have some flex to them, as you can see. So while I would not advise sending top loaders in the mail like this without marking it as non-machinable, and any person in the business who has actually sent cards in the mail knows what I mean by non-machinable. Basically, non-machinable, for those who may not know, whenever your mail gets sorted at the post offices, they don't normally get sorted by hand, they get sorted by machines. And when they go through these machines, they go through turns and stuff like that. And if your letter, or whatever it may be that you're sending, if it's too stiff, it will get stuck in those machines and potentially damage any cards that you send through them. So some top loaders, like maybe this one, can probably get through those machines without a problem, although I wouldn't recommend it, because again, sometimes they may still get caught. So whenever you send in cards and top loaders and stuff like that, you always want to mark it as non-machinable, which unfortunately does cost more, but at least you'll ensure that your card is handled, by an actual human, and the potential for damage is far lower. When you send in these, you absolutely will want to mark as non-machinable. One, because you can already tell this thing is far thicker. Yep, far thicker than your standard top loader. This one, I believe, may actually be, is it about the same thickness? Let's actually check. I have my caliper here. Let's go ahead and turn this sucker on. And first, we're going to measure how thick our 100-point top loader is. So, let's go ahead and bring this out here. And on the edge, I am reading, oops, there we go, 0.12 inches. Okay. So this, with a single card, not really the same. Yes, noticeably thicker at 1 point, or at 0.17. Just, you know, so we can say that we also did this one. Let's do this. 0.05. So yeah, this one is definitely the thinnest. This is thicker. This is thickest. And the thing is this is only with one card. So yeah, it's going to be very thick. These, they do have a small bit of flex, but these are definitely far stiffer than these. So yeah, you basically just set them up like that, send them through the mail. You will have to mark it non-machinable, and that's what what you would do there. My question, though, that I have for these is, since they don't give you a set width that you have to, or thickness that you have to work with, how many cards could you potentially put in one of these? I want to test that. So let's go ahead and see if I can get this open. This is there we go. Okay, we'll run along the edges here. I did put that that penny sleeve in there, so this should be okay. Oh, there we go. We were able to open it up. Okay, I'll still want to take that off. Oddly enough, the Scotch tape comes right off of these. Really interesting. Okay, so I guess it's just a different plastic. Yeah, the Scotch tape seems to come right off. There's no problem there. Yeah, I mean, yeah, look at that. Nothing. No residue. Okay, well, there we go. Now we know it's actually fine for Scotch tape. Again, still fine for painter's tape, that kind of thing. Let's grab a stack of cards, put it in a penny sleeve, and let's just see how thick we can make this. Because, again, you can send thicker letters through the mail. The problem at some point, though, is that you're going to get to a maximum thickness. If I'm not mistaken, the maximum thickness for a letter, I think, is 0.75. I could be wrong. Somebody in the comments may want to correct me on that, but let's see how many cards potentially. Because like I said, in these, I put a maximum of 8 cards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Let's just say 12. Okay, so let's say if I want to put 12, how could I make this work? So let's put them in the penny sleeve. All right, there we go. So theoretically, I should be able to just kind of sandwich these together like that and then tape it all up. So let's do that. Make sure we're all nice and good there. Let's tape it up there. And again, if you are going to be using these types of things, absolutely use the penny sleeve, because I feel like these cards are going to move around a little bit. Even though these are being, the letter that you would send this in is going to be handled by hand and not by machine, they're still going to move around. So let's go ahead and put a little, I'm actually going to push down a little bit on them just so it holds them a little better. Let's see how that works out. All right, let's put it there, let's do a little squeeze. Okay. All right, let's see. Moves around a little bit. Will they actually, my concern is, will the cards start slipping out of the penny sleeve? And from what I can see here, let's see. I apologize, my neighbor's like, what are you doing? You know what, these are actually slipping out of the penny sleeve. Yeah, I'm not sure how well you can see that, but I do see them sliding out. So let me cut this here. And again, like, you're probably wondering, well, hey, wait a minute, don't you already know how these work? No, I don't. This is my first exposure to these. I've seen them before, but I've never used them. So I'm kind of learning with you guys. So yeah, as you can see, the cards definitely shifted there. So the question now is, how would I actually want to ship these if there's potential that the cards are going to slide out? Would I want to put something like, you know, like a little masking tape on top of it like that? Because again, the masking tape, I think, is going to be fine because there's very, very little residue, if none at all, when you do that. So I guess you could try to seal up the tops of these penny sleeves and then ship it that way. Or, one other option, and I just thought of this, maybe a team bag? Maybe, because the team bags, they seal up. They've got their own little, you know, resealable thing there. So you could potentially send, say, you know, 15 cards like that in a team bag. My question now, again, is let's see how thick this is, and let's see if this will actually be able to be sent via a letter. And I'm going to be a little stringent here because I absolutely want to be sure. How thick is this? And again, this is with 12 cards. It looks like 0.32. Okay, so technically that is still under the 0.75, although that feels a bit, isn't it 0.25? I'm going to pause here and I'm going to look. I'll be right back.
2 hours later.
All right, so we checked, and it looks like regardless of if it's machinable or non-machinable, it looks like the maximum thickness is going to be 0.25 inches. So, in this case, where we're sending 12 cards, let me go over here and check this again. Would this be eligible? It would not. Apparently that's too thick. So, let's check this again. Put this little pack over here. And we'll try our 10 cards. We'll just kind of go through this and see what our maximum thickness is going to be. I imagine each card, let me see, is about the same thickness regardless. So let's try this again. So that's 0.26. So that's barely outside of reach. So it looks like the maximum you could probably put into one of these is probably going to be 9 cards. Let's try one more just so we can say we're being thorough. I apologize. I know this video is running long. Let's put it back in there. Alright, so with that one fewer card, yep, we're right at 0.25. And you still have to take into account the fact that the paper of the envelope you're using does still count towards something, so you got to be careful. So, and again, going back over here, yeah, this is definitely much thinner. Because I was thinking to myself, I've used these top loaders to send stuff so many times in non-machinable letters, and I've never had a problem, and that's why, because we're well underneath that that threshold of 0.25. Well, so I guess the whole question now remains, or is, you know, should you use these? I think they could work in certain circumstances. My whole thing was I wanted to see how thick I could go with these. So if I could avoid using these, which because they are thicker, they do tend to be a little bit more expensive. So if I can avoid using these and instead use these, but still stay within the confines of the Postal Service's requirements, you know, it's barely there. I guess I could see myself using these maybe if I were sending, say, 6, 7, or 8 cards. Could do that. But yeah, it looks like there are some challenges as far as just using these, period. As far as pricing, I think these kind of vary a bit. I believe this package that I got, which has, it should have 150 of these, which essentially means that when you put 2 and 2 together, you're going to be sending about 75 letters or packages using, because you got to use 2 of these each, obviously. So the question is, are they worth it? Hard to say. Really hard to say. I would say in some circumstances these could be beneficial. You could find some use for these. I do wish they were ever so slightly thinner, because again, how thick were these things again? 0.8. And that's just for one of these. So you're basically dedicating 0.16 inches just to the thickness of these. Now, I know the argument is, well, you know, we wanted to make them nice and rigid. Well, maybe you don't necessarily have to. Maybe we could just use these, again, as a top loader replacement if we're just looking to ship some cards. I do wish they were a little bit thinner. Overall, though, they are nice and sturdy, they're rugged, and they are reusable. Although, if you send these to a client, I don't know exactly what they would do with these. I have the feeling that they would probably throw these away because they'll look at them and they'll be like, well, I can't use them like top loaders, so what's the point of me even keeping them? Which is a problem in and of itself, because with top loaders, whenever I get top loaders sent to me, I generally keep them. I keep them and I reuse them. I do not ever throw my top loaders away. Even the ones with Scotch tape, I keep them and I reuse them because I figure, well, if they already have Scotch tape on them, nobody's going to put them in their collection, but at least I can use them for shipping. So, the product is good. Like I said, I do think they were a little bit thinner, or I was hoping they would be a little bit thinner than this. Given the price range of I think it was about $30, yeah, for 150 of these. I don't know, man. because that's it's basically equivalent to 75 top loaders. The benefit, obviously, like I said, is you can send 1 card or you can send 7 cards, possibly 8, depending on the cards that you're sending. If you're sending baseball cards, do keep in mind baseball cards, football cards generally tend to be a thicker stock, so you're not going to be able to fit as many baseball or sports cards in these, whereas these Pokemon cards and stuff, they're fairly thin. I do know from opening some recent packs of baseball cards, those cards tend to be definitely much thicker. So you'll want to keep that in mind. It's hard to say if you think this is worth it. I say if you're sending cards from, say, one seller to another seller, the other seller may actually get a benefit out of this and they won't just throw these away. So maybe that's it. But if you send these to just like your average everyday customer just buying a few cards from you, I'm 99.9% certain they're going to throw these away, which leads to waste, which I do not like. I'm actually leaning toward pass on these. I do like the flexibility of being able to determine how thick this could possibly go. But yeah, I think for now I'm going to probably stick with top loaders. I will use these. I mean, they sent these to me, so I might as well use them. But as far as actually going out and purchasing these, if they can make these thinner, I may consider it again. But as of right now, like I said, the waste or the potential for these turning into waste is a little too high for me. So anyways, thanks for watching the video. I know this one was a little bit longer. I apologize. But I will leave a description or a link in the description where you can get these. It will be an affiliate link. So if you decide you want to give these a try, they do come in smaller boxes of 50. So if you want to, not go full in and get a big box like this, you can just get a box of 50 with obviously a little bit more reasonable price or point of entry as far as price goes. But yeah, thanks for checking out the video, guys. I really appreciate it. I will continue to do more of these TCG and trading card sort of product reviews over the coming year, hopefully. Thanks for checking out the video. We'll see you next time.